Netflix has a chaos monkey in its IT system. It's intentionally there. In 2011, when Netflix was moving all of their IT services to the cloud, they realized that things could go wrong and they wanted to anticipate this, so they actually wrote a set of IT programs that would intentionally put chaos into their IT systems. It would break things down. It would slow servers. It would overload systems. It would have latency injection, and that is just make things sluggish and slow. It would break down certain parts of the system at random. This software was called the Chaos Monkey. And it was intentionally put there in order to stress the system. And when I say system, I mean not only the hardware and software, but also the people, to see how resilient could they be, because they knew eventually things would go wrong and they'd have to respond. The Chaos Monkey has now been picked up and is used by a number of companies in their IT systems in order to stress their systems to see how they can make them better and more resilient or anti-fragile to the errors and problems that they know are going to eventually happen in life. What are some other things you can do besides creating chaos monkeys or simulating disasters? One thing is you can debrief. If you look at companies that are the most resilient, those like NASA or the airline industry, they debrief everything. Every airline flight that has any kind of difficulty is debriefed to understand what caused that. Was it human error? Was it a mechanical error? Was it a software error? That's why the NTSB proudly says that every flight is safer than the previous flight. Another thing you can do is to train employees to solve problems in an ad hoc manner under stress. Oftentimes this is done with simulations. That's what NASA does. But you can also do it in other ways. Sully Sullenberger, who landed the plane on the Hudson River, gives a lot of the credit for how he was able to make decisions on the fly under a lot of stress that were unusual because of his training at the Air Force Academy, where he had been put into experiential learning situations with other cadets where they had to solve problems, didn't have an obvious or predetermined solution. He said that taught him how to handle that and to prioritize the different parts of problem solving so that he could eventually face that many, many years later and land a plane on the Hudson River. You can also design for failure. And what I mean by that is systems and people are going to fail. So the question might not be how do you prevent failure, but instead, how do you recover from failure? How fast can we get our systems back up? How fast can we respond to a natural disaster? So it's not preventing, but instead recovery from when things go wrong. Another way to make your organization more resilient is to simplify your process. Right now, because of the logistics problems that are going on in the chip industry, Samsung is spending $17 billion to bring chip manufacturing onto US soil. Intel is spending $20 billion. Why are they doing this? It's going to shorten the logistics chain, and by doing that, they're simplifying the number of steps to get a chip from design through manufacturing and then out into products. So you can simplify many processes in your company, and that reduces the number of possibilities of things going wrong. Related to simplification is redundancy, backup systems, or distributing your work across a number of different people or different systems or places, so that if one goes down or one is missing somehow, then the others can pick up the slack. And that makes your organization more resilient because all your eggs are not in one basket. The last one I'd mention is I am a great believer in learning from others. Look at other companies. If you're in the food industry, look at electronics. If you're in software, look at manufacturing. If you're in raw materials, look at spaceflight to say, how do they build redundancy and how do they build simplicity and how do they make their organizations more resilient? You'd be surprised how many things can then apply to your organization.